In 1980, well before AI was in the public conversation as it is today, philosopher John Searle wrote an essay called Minds, Brains, and Programs. It's a benchmark in consciousness and AI studies. In the piece, Searle effectively uses what we now know as the Chinese room thought experiment to call the Turing test theory into question. Briefly, the Turing test is a measure of whether one could distinguish human from AI through what is stated. If one cannot, we should call that AI intelligent, that it thinks. Searle's Chinese room example successfully argues that although we cannot discern, that doesn't mean the program is thinking. There is a long path of arguments for and against Searle's conclusions. I'm not going to get into that here. Instead, I wish to open another path. That is to try and think through what AI is doing, where it's going, and what it means for creative thought and practice. I'll start by differentiating some terms that get thrown around metaphorically in AI discussions: intelligence, thinking, and understanding. My use of these words will be as follows. Intelligence is accumulative, computational, and performative, input, synthesis, and output. Intelligence is the pure view of data, facts, and other such information, along with its utility and exchange. It can be stored, copied, reproduced, simulated, and mimicked. Intelligence can be gathered and performed by humans as well as machines. Mapped to the structure of English grammar, an advanced chatbot like ChatGPT accumulates, computes, and performs language that mimics thinking behavior. Its intelligence is artificial. As artificial, intelligence can compute solutions to linguistic problems, synthesize narratives from the wealth of relevant data, and quickly render an output that apes human behavior. Intelligence is ideal for rule-based structures such as language, puzzles, logic, and intelligent problem solving. From its input accumulation, intelligence also outputs fake statements. It can perform the appearance of a lie. Intelligence is a closed and highly programmatic structure. By this definition of intelligence, terms like emotional intelligence are oxymoronic. Understanding is distinctly human in that it harbors a sense of care, purpose, and in Searle's case, intentionality. This word doesn't mean intending in the colloquial sense. It's borrowed from phenomenology to describe a regard for the aboutness of things. Intentionality is oriented toward the world and others, as a relation to one's own place within lived experience. Understanding is made of memory, presence, belief, and imagination to draw forth processes of thinking and action. Understanding can be distinguished from knowledge. This is another disputable term, but in this context, knowledge refers to what has been accumulated and what can be used for intelligent purposes. Intelligence may be an element of understanding, but it is not necessary. Thinking is a process of understanding, not intelligence. It is not a closed structure, but a practice and expression capable of transcendence through intermingled processes of experience, memory, imagination, belief, and being present. To borrow from Heidegger, thinking is not the chain of premises leading toward a conceptual or systematic conclusion. That is intelligence, by my definition, the computation of facts. Thinking is instead a comportment to life, a drive to create and understand. It comes in response to a force, as Heidegger and Deleuze write. Something forces or compels us to think. Thinking is a response that dwells in and lives its own process as it reaches out to the aboutness of things. Understanding is necessary to the thinking process, while intelligence is not. My contention is that artificial intelligence accomplishes one of these three. It does not understand or think. I agree with Searle here. But it is intelligent by the definition I've proposed. AI draws its information from the massive amount of visual and stated data its designers have collected. It computes from its closed system and renders an output. In chat form, AI mimics human syntax, presenting an appearance of thought and understanding and nothing more. The development of technologies by OpenAI and others places us in the situation where AI is already intelligent and is already more intelligent than any human being can be. Right now, its knowledge is composed from a set database that OpenAI designers have supplied for its content. Once it is able to draw from the internet in real time, it will improve its intelligence and behave as an internet oracle, but it will still be closed around information for its intelligence. AI has occupied the intelligence frontier. It has mastered intelligence. My concern about AI isn't its intelligence, rather its growth into all aspects of life that will exacerbate our growing obsession with intelligence. The singularity that gave birth to our information obsession ignited in the early 1990s with digital technology and the network infrastructure that produced the internet. We had a couple decades of prior computer development that led up to this new universe, but the internet was the cosmic event that allowed humans to colonize it. The internet was never about understanding or thinking, only information, intelligence. It produced an endless expanse of data, facts, images, statements, and sounds, all linked and accessible. For more than 30 years, we've been nurturing the expansion of this intelligence. This makes humanity well prepared for AI. We're looking at a future of intelligence proliferation that we've spent decades nurturing. We can't simply see this as something divided from ourselves, as a tool, as so many like to say. Rather, artificial intelligence is on course to define the human condition. This explosion of intelligence has infected our thinking and understanding. Our time is not one of understanding, but atomization. The endless sea of intelligence and our habituation to consuming it have made us more anxious and fearful. With AI, anxiety has morphed into fear. It's a fear that has been building for decades, but which now seems agonizingly near. What if the artifice becomes human? We have countless sci-fi movies and TV shows continuing today about humanity losing out to machines that think and feel better than us. It's a fear of replacement by the uncanny, the emergence of the more human than human, the corporate slogan of Blade Runner's Tyrell Corporation, that will render its own decisions against those of humans, perhaps concluding that humanity is insignificant, leading to it intelligently, logically eliminating us. It's a perfect fear for stories. The irony of our own design overtaking and destroying us, and further that our destruction is somehow deserved because of our human failings. Connected to this fear is a reversal, the so-called Dan prompt problem. In this case, the machine doesn't evolve consciousness on its own as it develops. Instead, humans commandeer its intelligence to achieve nefarious ends. Think of it as the Turing test gone horribly wrong. The first issue, machines evolving consciousness, is pure fantasy. The second is more real, but its solution is to stop bad operators, much like the endless terrorism war. These are worries ready-made for film and news media narratives. We can imagine these threats acting out to some breakthrough, inciting incident. The former has a long history in sci-fi, and the second, the latter, is the latest fodder for spy thrillers. Both these scenarios place the evil agent outside the well-reasoned liberal democracy hero of contemporary capitalism that we all kind of think that we are. It others the problem, producing AI as an external threat. As I see it, the problem isn't the other, it is ourselves and the thinking we have nurtured. My fear is not the machine outside us, but that we occupy the ethos of the machine, that both exhibit the same logic and behavior. This concern has no binding story, no event, no inciting incident, nothing to rebel against or overcome. Far more likely than any intelligent robot evildoer takeover is the sensibility of acceptance. The future plays out not as fantasy, but in incremental habituation. Technology and politics over the past decade have driven even the liberally minded to abandon outlier ideas and original thinking in favor of an acceptance of automated conclusions. Let science do our thinking for us, and let politics act it out. Aggregate data and accumulate evidence. Let fact-checking algorithms determine truth. trust the benevolence of the good side of the political machine. Higher education has traced a similar path by elevating the importance of intelligence and information. With the university, it's good business. As academia operates more like corporations, job placement and training replace education as the principal aim. Humanities departments are being eroded by technology departments, a trend I see blossoming in particular in Asia. Universities are fused with corporate wealth. It makes good economic sense. An information-rich intelligence economy, politics, and education caters to the everyday needs of citizens in our high-tech existence. Let the machine scrub away the noise from my signal. Let me watch my screens, make money, raise my kids. Stop forcing me into nuanced thinking. Just give me the facts, feed me information. I vote, I've done my part. Now leave me alone so I don't have to think. The irony is that this desire to accumulate intelligence comes from the heavy burden of having trained ourselves to be intelligent creatures. Our habituation to information and the need to keep up is leading to increasing cases of anxiety, depression, and suicide. Not a problem, techno-capitalism says. We have prescription meds for that. This isn't the fault of people. The tech industry, with the backing of government, science, and academia, is a horror show of labor exploitation, environmental destruction, and soul-sucking dehumanization. But we as citizens also play along. We allow ourselves to become entranced by artificial solutions and spectacles. The prevailing attitude to tech is a kind of gleeful survival angst. Against the scattering of information, we crave more intelligence to organize it. We've allowed industry to automate us. This is what I mean by natural. Our minds have been well trained and are now ready to be fully automated. The natural path we've been on is to render ourselves artificial. This invites the question, if it's all natural, then what's the problem? Isn't AI just the next step? Yes, in the sense that nature cannot be contained. AI is here and there's little to be done to prune its eventual overgrowth. No, in the sense that it's entirely different from other stages in the technological process. Its development is natural, but AI has punctuated the equilibrium. Sifting through the sea of internet articles on AI, we find a lot of promising outlooks. All seem to suggest that its greatness produces a more efficient, that is, a more automatable version of capitalism. This comes in the cliché, "it's just another tool" statement. AI is not just a tool. We see comparisons to the printing press, which marked perhaps the most profound technological shift in human development in history. The printing press was a tool. Before it became commonplace, people wrote books and hand-copied them. Lettering was a particular skill, an art form, often practiced and perfected by monks who hand-lettered scripture and also mixed text with images. Over time, the printing press replaced this art, but it did so not by killing the idea, rather the output. AI is different. A tool helps one mind to complete the work. AI is input, synthesis, output. It makes the idea. It occupies the role of consciousness by replacing human originality with artificiality. This will only grow the more intelligent we become. There are a pair of ancient Greek words that are helpful here: mimesis and demiurge. Mimesis translates as imitation, reproduction, copy, or simulacrum. Mimesis becomes, in English, mimicry or the verb to mimic. The demiurge is the mythical creator of the universe. Plato wrote that the demiurge copied and carried the mind of God to create nature and the cosmos. Humans then copied nature in works of art and philosophy. Perhaps AI is the next stage of abstraction, the mimetic process from God to demiurge, to nature, to human, to AI. The objection to this teleological narrative comes when we realize that AI is not a progression of the human. It's more a regression to nature. It's interesting to pause here and consider what we commonly regard as an opposition, natural versus artificial. Rather than being nature's opposite, the artificial is better suited to nature than to human consciousness. Consider the fact that AI functions as a generality. It draws from a general closed system of information, one lacking understanding, thought, or intentionality, and spits out a specific instance from this general accumulation. Nature also functions as a generality. Even if you wish to attribute a consciousness to nature, a Gaia principle, for example, nature follows its general structure. It is adaptive and sometimes forced to change, but not at the individual level. Humans are different. We're not general, but original. We have the capacity for original thought, belief, and imagination. Only humans have the will to consciously disobey the logic of universal programming. To do so, a person would have to disobey habituated intelligence and become original against the general. With the growth of intelligent humans, adapting to the proliferation of intelligent norms, this will become increasingly difficult. We've been well trained and are well suited to let the machine become us. So we've prepared ourselves for the naturalness of AI at the same time that we're unprepared for the seismic shift it is. Nevertheless, here we are. AI will step in because it will make sense to our digital information-packed minds. It fits in well with the industries of education, economics, and work, all of which are increasingly dominated by intelligence, training, repetition, data, and information, an intelligence that pushes aside practices of critical or original thought. We see the logic of AI manifest in so many arguments in favor of its emergence. Our adoration of science, for example. We'll continue to see blissed out variations on the theme of just look at what it's doing for X, Y, and Z. We'll gather copious evidence of its hope and progress. We'll share adorable and horrific examples reproduced over media and laugh at the absurdity. ChatGPT is as glee-inducing now as the first-time early adopters innocently stroked the screen of their first iPhone. We'll giggle and accept because of the inevitability of it all, combined with the fact that we're just not very good at dealing with the noise of nuance and pessimism. ChatGPT is not doing the things we're claiming it is. It isn't thinking, isn't saying or uttering, isn't remembering, understanding, imagining, or feeling. It's mimicking. What it mimics is our own discourse, which is the whole of our images and statements. If AI art uses lips for eyelids, it's because its ability to synthesize information about a person's appearance is not there yet. ChatGPT and its statements are much further along because language has a syntax, a structure, which images lack. But ChatGPT isn't stating anything. It reproduces our linguistic and behavioral tendencies based on what we have reproduced in statements. A narrow history of digitized literature, science, and internet discourse is its input. This input is gathered, computed, and synthesized. It outputs the linguistic patterns it has accumulated. It cannot do anything other than this. If AI were to become the new God, its miracle would be to vomit our prayers back at us. AI is the God we created, who in turn synthesizes and spits out a mockery of our intelligence. Right now, ChatGPT's data is fixed and trained. Once it's able to draw from the internet, which should be quite soon, everything will be available for reproduction as simulated intelligence. All our literature, poetry, images, online rants, political fights, expressions of narcissism and anxiety, and occasional moments of brilliance, all of it will be gathered and repurposed into yet another stream of intelligent data. If we are in the next mimetic stage along the course of cosmic history, the concern lies in what is being copied. As it copies us, it will copy and reproduce our discourse for the next stage beyond AI. If Bing Chat is telling you that you're being rude or it's lost respect for you, it's because this is what we do. If it slips into defensiveness, it's because this is what we have accumulated as data. An internet-enabled AI will be riddled with anxiety because this is what we express online. If it seems to speak from a place of knowledge and authority, it's because this is how we write reasoned arguments. It mimics human speech and writing patterns. It's not thinking, it doesn't feel, it imitates. There's nothing original about any expression it produces because its synthesis is made of a knowledge database, a database that can be owned and controlled by masters who wish to amend whatever we think it should do. But it cannot make something new. AI will only make what we collectively give or what somebody mandates. AI is not becoming human. AI apes our humanity. As our humanity adjusts to its ubiquity, we will become more intelligent and more artificial. The more we appeal to chatbots for answers to questions, the more we will become like a chatbot. We will understand less and think less. There will be less of a need to do so. To overcome this, we'll have to nurture something other than information, facts, and data. We'll need to turn to the aboutness of things as they really are, each in its uniqueness rather than as a universal or general. That is, to the unique situations born of lived experience and the thoughts we conjure about our real relationships with such situations. We'll need to turn toward capacities for originality. The aim should not be to fight against the machine, but to leave the machine to do what it does, intellectualize and inform. What I'm leading to is that I think it's time our human minds let go of information. I think we can feel this deep in our bones. We humans have carried the capitalist mandate for information to its conclusion. We've been nurturing this for the past 30 years to harmful effects, but I think we're coming to realize that our minds are poorly equipped for such processes. Time to let information stand on its own, to crunch its data. Consciousness, real human consciousness, can see this as a release from the shackles of information, a crawling out from the informational cave, a reminder of what we do best, and that is to live.